I often say, the barriers to online are very low, but the barriers to success are incredibly high.
Today we have Dean Taylor, the CEO of Digital Wine Ventures, that also owns Wine Depot. Welcome, Dean.
Thanks for having me today, Ryan. Most appreciated.
Oh, welcome. So tell us a bit about your business.
Look, my current venture is it's obviously Digital Wine Ventures is the public company. Its main asset is a business called Wine Depot, and fundamentally, it's a platform business. Consists of a number of components, but it's all about trying to, digitally transform the wine and beverage industry. And we sort of see incredible amount of inefficiency in the industry, in the market. It's incredibly fragmented, and I guess because of that fragmentation, there hasn't really been any significant investment in IT systems and technology. And as a result, I guess the supply chain that supports the industry is incredibly inefficient. And so, in many ways, we've come in, in a classic disruptor strategy. Our first product that we launched as part of the platform was a logistics service. And obviously, it's an area that not many people want to touch, dirty and ugly, but we use that, I guess, to build up a core group of suppliers that we serviced, and then we've rolled out different parts of the platform since then, including a B2B marketplace, integrations with a range of consumer marketplaces, a fintech solution, and then I guess at the very core of the platform is more or less an ERP system or an enterprise, sort of resource planning tool, which helps, automate processes in businesses. And so, essentially, we're trying to create a piece of software that acts at the center of the universe for everyone who is involved within the liquor and wine industry.
Fantastic. And you've had about 8 successful businesses in your career. I'm interested, like, how did you get into Wine Depot and Digital Wine Ventures?
Yeah, so look, I guess this latest venture was really, the business plan evolved over the last 10 years, and it was really trying to solve some of the biggest challenges and problems that I'd had in those other businesses. And so, I guess the most recent other venture that I launched was a business called Cracker Wines. It was a pure play online direct to consumer marketplace, wine mostly, but other beverages. And we were very good at, and I guess we took an approach which was really a bit like what the classified sites had done in real estate and automotive and jobs. And we amassed an incredible amount of content, and obviously we connected that with inventory, and then we used that obviously to aggregate traffic and generate sales in the category. But we would then pass those sales back to the suppliers. Now, we were really, really good at generating those orders, but when we passed them on to the suppliers, the fulfillment experience was awful for the consumers. It was you're trying to, I guess, address that problem. I sort of developed, I guess, the concept for Wine Depot, which would basically allow us access to a dropship solution where we knew exactly what inventory was available. We knew it could be picked and packed and delivered within, either same day or next day, and that was really, I guess, the genesis for it. So it was tackling problems that I'd had in previous businesses, and I guess there's just been such incredible latent demand for that platform. We only launched it 2 years ago. We're on track to deliver over 1.5 million cases of wine or products for other suppliers we work with. There's over 600 suppliers that we've managed to attract, and that's an industry of 2,500. So we've really, I guess, crossed that tipping point now. We are sort of really starting to push into the mainstream, starting to work with a lot of the bigger brands. And I guess, after we built, I guess, that body of suppliers and inventory and access to inventory, more recently we've launched a marketplace, a wholesale marketplace. And I guess this is where we really start to release value for the industry, because it provides an incredibly efficient way of getting their products to market. And I guess the beauty of, obviously, the last 2 years, online has been I guess, turbocharged by COVID, particularly at a consumer level. But the same thing is happening in businesses as well, and they've moved to online purchasing. And it's been, I guess, a perfect storm for us in terms of driving the growth in that marketplace business, because businesses are looking. They've realised that the amount of efficiency and savings that it creates for their own business as well. So yeah. So hopefully, it's a bit of a little
Yeah, that's
snapshot.
good. That's good. I love it how you've come at it from like that problem solving in the marketplace perspective. So business and maybe a bit of a mindset question for you. What had to change in you personally to, to achieve the levels of success that you now enjoy?
Wow. Look, I guess I sort of had an interesting journey. I mean, I started my life as an architect, and my first business that I launched was really a side gig, and it was to do with what had become very expensive hobby, or actually some would argue a habit, which was collecting wine. And I guess I started a little business on the side, and that side hustle turned into a 2 day a week, and then a 5 day a week, and then eventually 20 day weeks of a job, and built it into a national business. But I guess I didn't even realize I'd left architecture. But what I realized, I applied the same skill sets that I'd learnt in architecture to building a business. And I guess it all starts with a vision. And it was then sort of taking that vision and sketching it up, drawing it in a get a concept designs that you could present to someone. And then once you got that concept refined and evolved, then you go into the full documentation process, which is probably a business plan. And then you start to involve consultants. So obviously, sort of for me, I knew nothing about business. I had to, sort of everything from marketing and accounting, and it was really, I guess, it became a bit of an MBA for me, that first business. But it was then, bringing in the workers, I guess, or the builders, and then developing that business up to a point where it was, sort of commercially viable. And I guess everything that I've done has really been following that same practice. And I typically, I guess spend a lot of time on that vision and that initial, conceptualization phase. Certainly, test it very thoroughly, I guess, in that business planning process. And then by the time you're actually prepared to commit capital to it, I then surround myself with people who know much more than me. Um, and I just really play that role as the architect, in the job, and I walk on site. Everyone else is doing all the work, and I'm just making sure that everyone understands what my vision's all about and seeing it through. I guess where I learnt some tricks along the way was that I've learned, I guess, you get one good business, and often there's opportunities to build businesses off that business. And that was really the case with my first business, which was called Wine Arc. And it was a wine storage business for people. So it wasn't all that clever, really. We have refrigerated storerooms and high security, and people put their private collections in there. But we were the first in the world to provide them online access to their inventory. They could log in through, the internet. This was back in 1999. People were still using dial-up connections, but they could see what wines they had. They could place picking orders or delivery orders, have it delivered to their favorite restaurant. But once we digitized that information, we were able then to launch a next business off that, which was a trading floor. And so, we launched a business called Wine Exchange, where people who stored wine with us could trade it like stocks and shares. Again, one of the first businesses in the world to do something like that. And then obviously we then started to realize we had this incredible amount of data about our customers, and we could then mine that data, and then we could use that to market more accurately to them. And in many ways, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, because we knew exactly what these people what sort of wines they're into. So we launched a direct marketing business, and we were one of the first in Australia to really use email and that content and that data to very accurately, direct market to them, and generate orders online. And that was the third business. And so I guess it was really, sometimes, you might have an idea of where you want to get to, but I guess it's such a stretch, and it actually, and for me, with that particular business, I certainly saw the trading floor as a part of the offer right from day one. But I knew I couldn't get there until I went through those other steps. But each of those steps built a solid foundation, a great business in itself, that then helped power and fund, I guess, the development of those other businesses. And so, with what we're doing, even with the wine depot business, as I mentioned, we've started in logistics. Again, it's classic disruptor strategy. Come into the market part where no one really wants to touch, but we've built that solid foundation, and we used it to acquire our customers, get their inventory into our network. I've now got over $250 million of wine sitting in our warehouses, right, where we're actually getting paid to look after it and perform logistics for them. But now that's an asset that we can use through our marketplace businesses. And so I've got $250 million of inventory that I can range and make available to both trade and consumers. And so it's probably that has helped, I guess, certainly helped me. I guess one, taking an architect's type approach to problem solving, but then also, once you've solved one problem, look at ways in which you can leverage that as an asset to then build further growth opportunities within your business or company.
Mhm. That is a really great strategy. So, Dan, you will have seen some pretty solid growth and pulled some levers within the business to achieve that. Can you give us some insights into what has really helped you grow over the course of seeing each of your businesses expand?
Yeah, look, I guess for you know, in some ways, when I first launched, WineArc, I didn't have a budget for advertising marketing. Right? So, and I didn't really know a lot about it, full stop. And I guess this was before digital really, became a powerful, marketing medium. But I realised that there was wine suppliers that were trying to reach the same customers, the customers I was trying to reach. These wine providers already had, or wine producers already had them on their mailing lists. So I went to a couple of the wineries and I said, "Listen, I'll deliver your wine for just $2 a case. I know it costs them a lot more than that normally, but I'll deliver it for $2 a case, provided you don't mind me leaving a brochure with them." Right? And so basically, I got paid to um, get a database of our customers in a target market, which were very hard to find at that stage. These are like the wine aficionados of Sydney. And but that became, I guess, the core of our strategy. And I guess with what I've since done, I've looked for similar opportunities where you can actually find other people's or businesses that are servicing that same market and then leveraging their database, or providing them a service that gives you access to those customers. And so it's certainly been, and even in this current business, we've done exactly that. We've leveraged, I guess, providing logistics services to the industry to reach that target market and of venues, trade buyers in particular. So I guess that's certainly been one of the ways it's helped us, and it's been a very inexpensive strategy. And I guess more recently, what we've started to realise, and this is probably closer to your own field of expertise, but you build up that core set of data, and then you basically start to understand. You've got an audience that you understand what it looks like, and you can profile them. And then digital gives you a chance then to amplify and accelerate those strategies. And so, for us, it's actually been using, I guess, maybe some more traditional methods to actually build that data set, that profile of what your customer looks like, but then turbocharging it through digital and really, setting yourself up right from day one with all of your technology and systems so that they can rapidly scale, and not letting sort of any sort of bottlenecks constrain that growth. And for us, with this current business, I mean, that's, I remember people looking at us at the start going, "Oh God, you're over engineering this thing." But we always knew that once we got that product market fit right, and we built that core set of data of customers, we could really turbocharge growth. I guess the other thing is, if you're going to do something, do it incredibly well and rely much more on I guess, your customer satisfaction and ultimately their word of mouth to help drive, sort of referrals. And I guess for the wine industry, I mean, it's a very traditional and conservative industry. A lot of the names that you'd be familiar with, they're fifth or sixth generation families. They've been, and they've handed it down, and they see themselves as custodians more than entrepreneurs, and so they're very careful about their own reputations, and they don't like lending them, but when they do, it's incredibly powerful. And so I guess, a lot of what we do is just continue to invest in that customer experience and making sure that we're really delivering on our promises, and making sure that we selectively choose, sort of almost target customers in certain markets where we know that provided we do a good job, they will help spread our word. And I think that's in digital. Um, it's imperative. Like it's a, I often say, the barriers to online are very low, but the barriers to success are incredibly high. And online can be incredibly rewarding, but it can be very punishing. And these days, with peer reviews, you don't do something well, you don't deliver on your promise, everyone becomes a keyboard warrior and they get out there and they can destroy your business. And so, just as while the wine industry is very conservative and we rely on like literally guys in the pub shaking hands and saying, yeah, we use these guys. I think when it comes to any business now, it's imperative that you recognise that once you move into that online space, you're making yourself incredibly vulnerable, and you need to deliver on your promises if you are going to continue that rapid growth and scaling. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And look, and this is going to send us over time, but I have to ask this question. Then, if you could go back 5 years and give yourself just one piece of advice, what would that be?
Or that would be definitely trust your gut instinct. Trust
Okay,
your gut instinct. Like and sorry, there's two pieces I'm gonna bother you with.
that's good. That's good.
Trust your gut instinct, and never walk into a room that you can't walk out of. And I guess I learned the hard way. I ended up going into a business transaction. I merged my business with another business, and at the time, we didn't really have many other options. Things weren't going quite well, and it made sense, but it was against my gut instinct. And the option was because I walked into a room I couldn't walk out of, and it cost me dearly. And I look back, and I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. I'd have a whole lot less grey hair on my head now than and yeah. But that's definitely what I tell myself, and I'd love to share that with your listeners.
Yeah, thank you. That is great. Finally, Dean, who can you best help? And if they want to reach out, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, so look, we predominantly serve supplies into the liquor industry. So not just wineries, but breweries and craft spirit producers, and anyone who really has an alcoholic beverage. And so the best way would be to head to our website, which is winedepot.com. So that's depot.com. And yeah, we sort of fill out the registration form there, and we'll come back to you. Alternatively, if you're interested in finding out about our publicly listed company, Digital Wine Ventures, the stock code is DW8. And you can look that up and track our progress, or you can hit our website, which is digitalwine.ventures.
Fantastic. Dean, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing the value and the insights.
It was great. Thank you very much, Ryan. I appreciate the opportunity.
Cheers, Dean.
Thank you.